Grand Admiral Thrawn is one of the most interesting and complex characters we've ever seen in any Star Wars medium. When the character was no longer made canon after Disney took over, it devastated many fans. Ever since this, fans have been talking about making Thrawn canon again, whether he appears in a TV show or a film. In this specific video, we'll be talking about what role Thrawn could play in Rebels. For this video, we'll mainly be focusing on Thrawn's role in Rebels, not in the films, but I do think that it is possible that he could be appearing in Episode 8 or 9, since a character like Thrawn is very important overall in the Empire's development in the EU, and I think he would fit nicely into Episode 8 in particular. Thrawn was in control of a large majority of the Empire's navy, and that's mainly what he governed over. Close to the end of the Empire, he was sent to the unknown regions to colonize it. If the Rebels in the Rebels TV show ever went into the unknown regions, they could end up encountering Thrawn being up to something really shady. But since the Rebels TV show takes place 5 years before A New Hope, it is possible that Thrawn has not yet been sent out to the unknown regions by Palpatine, and they could end up encountering him in the regular known space. I do not think that we will see Thrawn in Season 2, as it already seems really jam-packed, but I do think that there are possibilities for him to appear in Season 3. Rebels seems to be implementing a lot of things from Legends recently, which has led many to believe that Thrawn could be appearing. There was actually a fake article confirming Thrawn's return that many found to be true. Unfortunately, it wasn't, but I would still love it if he does end up returning somehow, and I would say that there's even a high possibility that he will return due to his high level of popularity with the fans, whether that be in Rebels or whether they take pieces of the Thrawn character and implement it into another character in one of the films. One little tiny reason I see why Grand Admiral Thrawn may not appear in Rebels is because the group in Rebels seems to be a group very focused on hit-and-run attacks. They haven't really done a huge, large-scale attack just yet. However, Grand Moff Tarkin did appear in Rebels. And since Thrawn and Tarkin were roughly the same rank, it is possible that he could be there. The thing that I came up with in my head is maybe the group of Rebels actually attempts to take out a Star Destroyer and Super Star Destroyer, which would directly involve Thrawn since he is in charge of a large part of the Empire's navy. And all Star Destroyers are very valuable to the Empire, not as valuable as Super Star Destroyers, obviously, but I would also like to see the Rebels doing something like that. One, because like I said, it would directly involve Thrawn, and he could get involved, and he could be the main villain of an arc, and two, it would kind of harken back to the Rebels, and now the Resistance destroying super weapons like the Death Star and the Starkiller Base. Something that I would find interesting is that they could introduce Thrawn into Rebels and then have him be one of the main villains in Episode 8, which is something that I think that we could see potentially, either with characters that we're seeing now in Episode 8 that could become villains, or villains that we know from the past EU that could appear in Rebels and then be villains later on. Thrawn being a perfect example of that, because his story carries on after the destruction of the second Death Star, and he was a big piece in taking out the New Republic, or trying to take out the New Republic in the EU. I would say after a lot of fans were devastated after a lot of the material that they knew as canon was decanonized, especially Thrawn for a lot of fans, which is a standout character for so many people, myself included, that Disney has really listened to this and that they could have a character similar to that return in some regard, whether he be introduced in Rebels and then play a role in films later on. But I would say since the popularity of Thrawn was so big for a character that hadn't appeared in any films, that we will most likely be seeing him somehow. That's just kind of what I gather from everything. So anyway, guys, leave your thoughts in the comments down below. How would you guys feel about Thrawn returning? There will be a follow-up video to this about how Thrawn could be in Episode 8. Since I feel his story in the EU would fit nigh perfectly in with the story they're trying to tell, as far as some of the backstory that could explain away what events has happened between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens, and then in Episode 8, and I think a character like Thrawn would be a great way into telling pieces of that story, since that's really what part of his story was in the EU. So, yeah, that's just kind of how I feel about that, so stay tuned for that video. May the Force be with you, and have a great day.